Hi everybody, welcome to Yoga Live. My name is Deanna. I'm the Director of Wellness and the Registered Dietitian at Kibon in Buffalo, New York. And today I'm going to lead you through a nice yoga session. So yoga is not just about moving your body in a pretzel. You know, you always hear that, I always hear that. I can't do yoga because, X, Y, and Z. You don't need to be super flexible. You don't even need to be opening in your joints. That's the point of yoga. It's working through what your body is at right now and improving flexibility, mobility, and it also helps with your blood pressure. It helps increase your physical fitness. There's so many beneficial aspects of yoga. And it's also really to sustain the mind, relax the mind, keep us in the present moment, and help us focus what truly matters. Because we tend to be so uptight in this busy world right now that we don't make time for ourselves. So making time for ourselves, our presence, and just focusing on everything on our mats, no judgments, no one's watching you, just focusing you, your positioning, your mat, and my voice. So if you want to play some music in the background to, on the low so you can still hear my cues so you're in proper alignment, go for it. Make sure you have a yoga mat, some kind of soft surface that sticks to the floor so you're not really moving around because you need some good stability, your hands and your feet, making sure that you're gripping with those fingertips, always keeping them wide, and we can get started. So we're gonna start by sitting in a comfortable seat. You can cross your legs like a pretzel. You can even come onto your knees and sit your glutes on top of your heels and sitting up tall. So whatever you want to invite in today. Sometimes it's really nice to tuck the back toes, work through the arches while you're in your integration warm-up piece, which is where we slow everything down. So sitting up tall, start to close your eyes. Place your hands gently on your legs. And if you want, palms facing down for more grounding, being more in tune with yourself, being more aware for yourself, mentally, physically. Palms facing up for receiving. Maybe you need a little extra love from the energies around you. What if you would place your palms facing up? If you want to connect your breath with your movement and feel the connection, you can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Inhales and exhales through the nose. You can notice how your chest really fills up. Sending all the air all the way to your belly, feeling it get big. Making sure you're getting all that oxygen in. Exhaling through the nose, softening from your belly up through your chest, softening the collarbones, softening your face. So continue to breathe in and out through your nose. Not aiming to change a thing, but just bringing in awareness. And take this time to make a dedication or an intention for your practice. You can dedicate this practice to a certain loved one who needs a little extra care right now. Or whether it's something you're trying to work on mentally or physically. Whether you're trying to stay in the present moment, not let the little things get you. Whatever the case may be, saying it to yourself quietly, and start to lengthen your breaths. Maybe silently in your head, you're counting 5 deep breaths all the way up until you can't breathe anymore. Maybe taking a couple sips at the top, and then matching those inhales with an exhale with the count of 5. Making each breath fluid, lengthened, mindful. And wherever you are in your breath, exhale, exhale, exhale all that carbon dioxide. Take a cleansing breath, the deepest inhale of the day, filling up all the way from your chest to your belly, as much oxygen as you can, until you get to the top, maybe taking 1 or 2 more sips. And then wide open mouth, exhale. It can be audible or silent, depending on what you need. Sometimes it's nice to release by giving a little bit of a sound. Ujjayi breaths will be continued throughout the duration of practice, which are inhales and exhales through the nose, with a slight constriction on the back of the throat, sounding like waves of the ocean, or as if you're fogging up a mirror with your mouth closed, but making sure that it's not forced. And return to your normal breaths in and out through the nose, and start to flutter your eyes back open, releasing your hands at your sides if they haven't been there already. And on an inhale, reach your arms up all the way overhead. You can take a look at your fingertips. Bringing your palms together to touch. On an exhale, bend your elbows and bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head, reaching through your fingertips, keeping your shoulders down. Palms come together to touch. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Let's do one more. Inhale, reach your arms wide over your head, bring your palms together to touch. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Beautiful. Place your hands right on your legs, right on your knees. And we will do some cow-cat spine sitting in this position. If you have some dizzy spells going on or vertigo, really be mindful not to whip your head in all these directions. Try and find one point of focus just so you're not getting yourself dizzy. So instead of bringing your chin up and down through your cows and cats right now, I really want you to try and keep your chin level. So on an inhale, hinge at the hips and open your heart space as you just lean forward, keeping your shoulders down. On an exhale, chin is still parallel, bringing the spine backwards, rounding. And if you want, now you can bring your chin to your chest to work into the back of the neck, feeling that flexion. And you could rest your legs to give you more of compression with your back, feeling the skin get tight in your backside body. Inhale for cow, opening your heart space. Chin is still parallel. Exhale, cat, round the spine. Chin is still parallel, and then you can bring your chin to your chest. If you have no problem moving from cow and cat with moving your chin, go for it. Making it nice and fluid. So take this time to work one breath to one movement, going as slow or as fast as you need. Breathing maybe a couple seconds in one pose and then switching the direction, just like what we were doing. Or if you want more of a fluid notion, you can go ahead and do that. And once you get maybe two more, come back to center, rounding through those glutes, sitting up tall. Keep that belly up and in. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. On an exhale, place your right hand down, right on your mat, reach the left arm up and over your head. Reach that left shoulder back towards the wall behind you so you can keep your chest open to the front of the room. We always like to bring in heart openers because we tend to really round the spine a lot of the day, hunch. So it's really, really important to do the counter pose, to be opening up the chest. Inhale, both arms back to center, reaching through those fingertips, but keeping those shoulders down. Exhale, place your left hand down on the mat, reaching your right arm up and over. Feeling the stretch from your right fingertips all the way to your shoulders, your back muscles, all the way to your right hip. Keeping that right shoulder back towards the wall, opening your heart space. And if you want, you can look up at the ceiling. We tend to use this as a way to even warm up the neck. You can even come onto your forearm if you want a deeper stretch. But always remember, you don't want to dump. You want to keep reaching through the fingertips, stay lifted. Inhale, both arms back to center. Releasing your hands down by your sides. So I will face the proper way, which is where you are most likely at your mat right now. Go ahead and place your hands down. Spread your fingers out wide, coming into a tabletop. This time we'll do some cow-cat in tabletop position. So spreading your fingers out wide, snapping shoulders over wrists, hips right over your knees. Inhale, open your heart space to the front of the room, keeping your shoulders down and back on the backside body, reaching your tailbone high, lowering your belly down, keeping chin parallel to the mat. Exhale, press the earth away from you. Really spread those fingers wide as you bring your chin to your chest, bring the tailbone down, squeeze those abs. Inhale, open your heart space for cow, reach the tailbone up, bring the belly down towards the mat, eye gaze straight ahead. Exhale, press the earth away from you, round the spine, bring your chin to your chest. Go at your own pace here. So if you want to work into the side body here or bring in any organic movement, go for it. So that means work through your hips. You don't have to stay in the standard tabletop position. You can just work through whatever body parts are hurting. So if you want to work through the hips by coming to downward facing dog, coming up to tabletop, or if you want to work into the obliques, fire those up, look over your left and right shoulder by bringing your hips towards your shoulder as you're looking past the left shoulder and right shoulder. So really working through those obliques. Or if you just want to find relaxation, just let the head and neck go down and release. Now bring your big toes together to touch. Spread your knees out wide. Come into child's pose for a few breaths. So bring your forehead down to the mat. Extend your arms out in front of you. Taking all the oxygen in from the air and sending them to any places that feel a little bit more tense. It helps bring more space. Helps lighten up that tension. Making sure your glutes are really sealed to your heels. You can find an active stretch here by really pressing your fingertips into the mat, which helps activate those shoulders and the rest of your arms. Or you can find more restorative, which is just releasing your muscles and just letting gravity take you and open you up. Press back up into tabletop. Tuck your toes behind you. Puff up the space in between your shoulder blades by really pressing into your fingertips, working through the arm muscles to puff up the space right here as if you're rounding for cat spine. You can go ahead and really round so you can feel it in your spine and also your abdominal muscles. Reach that tailbone down so you can make that almost a C curve here. And on an exhale, extend your right leg in front of you. We're not lifting our knees off the mat just yet. We tend to do that in a lot of our videos. But right now, keep that left knee down on the mat. Extend the right foot behind you. Bear weight evenly with your left hand, your right hand, and your left knee. Reach your left arm all the way up by your ear. Your arm is parallel to the floor. This is new for you. You can untuck the left toes, by the way. We want to find stability in that left leg. Extend the right leg right off the mat. If this is too much for you, leave the left hand down. You can just work through the right leg and lift it up. Just about maybe a few inches off the mat. Doesn't have to be too high. As much as you can go. On an exhale, round. Bring that left elbow to the right knee. If that's too much, keep that left hand down and just bring your right knee inwards. Inhale the right leg up and back. Squeezing through that right glute as you flex the right foot. Exhale, left knee, left elbow, right knee. Inhale, lengthen, reaching the left arm forward, right leg back. Exhale, round, working through the abdominals. Inhale, reach the left arm forward, right leg back. You can release back down, or if you want to go for a bind, reach the left arm all the way up and over. Grab a hold of the right foot and press your right foot back. So you're opening up. Look how my leg starts to activate and the glute comes up. Well, it's activated. It doesn't really actually come up. But you can open up through the shoulder blade and look back at your foot, keeping your hips squared. This is something you could try and work on. You can always rewatch these videos and get there safely. Release the right leg if you bound. And come back into tabletop. Sit your glutes on your top of your heels. And go ahead and work through the wrists. I'll face towards you. So bend the fingers back towards your face, feeling the openness in the forearm. Shoulders down, still lengthen the spine. And then reverse the directions. Forearm faces the floor. Press the top of your hand towards your face. So reversing the direction. And the more you bear weight in your fingertips and not so much on your heel of your hand, you're not going to feel any wrist tension too much. So always be mindful when you're on your hands and your knees. Go ahead, shake the right arm out. And we'll do the left arm too. So extend the left arm, forearm up towards the ceiling. Grab hold of those left fingertips and pull them towards your face. Very gently. You don't have to grab the fingertips, but everything's supposed to be gentle, mindful, and breathe with the sensations that you feel. You can even close your eyes, enjoy it. And flip the forearm down, bring the fingertips towards the face. Go ahead, shake it out. Whatever you gotta do, this is your practice. It doesn't have to be so cookie cutter. Okay, so now this time, we're gonna extend the left leg out. So you're on the tips of your toes on your left foot. You're bearing weight equally between the right knee and your left foot. And like I said, if you don't wanna bring the arm into this, which is supposed to counteract the weight, you could just use your knee up and in. So extend the right arm by your ear, left shoulder right over the left wrist, spread those fingers wide, and slightly suction cup the palm of your hand so that you bear less weight on that wrist. Extend the left leg up, flex the left toes towards your face. Your torso should be parallel, so try not to open anywhere, shape, or form. Use those muscles to keep you grounded. On an exhale, right elbow, left knee, crunch inwards, round the spine. Inhale, lengthen, flex the foot, back, right arm forward. Exhale, crunch, right elbow, left knee. Inhale, lengthen. One more. Right elbow, left knee, crunch. Inhale the left leg back, right arm forward. And go ahead, reach the right arm all the way up and back over. And grab a hold of your left foot, keeping your hips squared. So if this is as much as you can go, that's fine. If you want to go ahead and press your foot into your hand, open up the hip flexor a little bit more, opening up your shoulder blade and looking over your right shoulder, you can make it a little bit more advanced. Inhale, your right arm forward, left leg back, and release your left leg down, back to tabletop. Bring your glutes on top of your heels, and this time just tuck your hands in so that you work through the wrist here. Spreading your fingers out wide. Bearing as much weight as you need forward into your hands. And then shake it out. Place your shoulders over your wrists, hips right over the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. This is your first downward facing dog of class, so separate your feet out wide and go ahead and make it yours. So when I say make it yours, that means really listen to your body. It doesn't have to look so pretty or graceful. Although you want to be mindful with your movements, but work into anything that you feel good in. Even if it comes from moving from plank to downward facing dog, you want to lift the leg, whatever the case may be. You know, walking the dog is always a go-to. Lifting one heel, working through the arches and the calf muscles. Feeling the stretch as we bring our right heel and left heel down. Spreading those fingers wide and really reaching those hips up. Pressing the earth away so that you bring your belly towards the top of your thighs.
Relax the shoulders so that there's space between your neck and your shoulder blades. Keep it broad, the backside body. On an inhale, reach your right leg up towards the sky, flex the right toes towards your face. Send energy through the right heel and send it a little bit higher. Feel the activation of the right glute. On an exhale, bring your right foot in between your hands. Set the back foot, rise, warrior one. Inhale your arms up overhead. Reach the right leg back, left hip point forward, so that your hips are in one line in front of the room. Make sure your right knee never goes past the right toes and always stays behind the right ankle. On top, excuse me. Inhale, your arms up overhead. Make sure that your left toes are pointed at the top left corner of your mat. Shoulders relax away from your ears. Pull the belly in. Feel your calf muscle really stretch as you bring that left heel all the way down. Place your hands to frame the right foot and inhale the right leg all the way up and back for a tail of the dog. So you may have to shimmy your left foot a little back more. But bend the right knee, open your hips to the right. You may feel or hear some cracks, but that's okay. It's just releasing any tight areas. Get that fluid loose. And reach your right leg down to meet your left. Inhale, lift the left leg up, flex the left toes towards your face, belly up and in. Rack those triceps down. On an exhale, warrior one, step your left foot in between your hands, seal the right heel down, angle the right toes at the top right corner of your mat. Once you get the floor work first, feel grounded there, reach your arms up overhead. Belly up and in, shoulders back. Chest is slightly out, because we don't want to round. It depends where our anatomy is, and we'll make adjustments as we learn. Reach up through the fingertips. Feel the sensations. Feel anything that may be a good thing for you or may feel a little tense. But use this knowledge throughout the duration of practice. You're just getting stronger. You're getting more flexible. Place your hands to frame the left foot. You can come high on the right toes if you want, so it's easier. Reach the left leg all the way up and back. Tail of the dog. One-legged downward facing dog. Bend the left knee. Open your hips to the left, making sure that you're not opening your torso to the same side. You only want to make your hips do that. So make sure you position your torso that it's in line with the face of the mat. So go ahead and make some hip circles and make sure you ground through those fingertips and the right foot to keep you grounded and stable. And go ahead and reverse the direction, lubricating the joints, going as wide or as narrow as you want because it is a ball and socket joint, so wide range of motion there. Release the left foot to meet the right. Inhale, lift the heels and take baby steps all the way to your hands. Straight legs, hips all the way up, and as you get to your hands, separate your feet out wide for ragdoll. But this time I really want you to bend your knees deeply. Let your belly fall on your thighs. Release your head and neck and your arms. You can grab onto either elbows. You can even bring movement if you want some rhythmic like feels. Bending one leg, straightening the other. It's always nice to bring in some movement and some motion. And some connection. Feeling the ground beneath you, rooting through your feet. And as time goes on, you can work to straighten the hamstrings. Bearing more weight in your toes, you really feel the opening. Release your hands by your feet. Heel toe your feet together. Bring a slight bend in your knees and slowly rise to standing. Stacking one vertebrae at a time until you rise to stand. For Tadasana, mother of all poses. So ground through all 4 corners of your feet. You can even lift all 10 toes to really find what that means for you. So you'll have a slight lift in that arch as you ground your feet in all 4 corners, just like your hands. Pull in through your legs, glutes squeeze together, belly up and in, lengthen through the crown of your head all the way to the ceiling. Roll your shoulders back and away from the ears, palms facing to the front of the room. Chin is parallel. Squeeze everything up and in. Meditate. We'll start for Sun A. On an inhale, reach your arms up over your head, palms come together to touch. Look at your fingertips for extended mountain pose. On an exhale, bend your hands to heart space as you forward fold, leading with the heart space with a flat spine all the way down. Releasing your hands for your forward fold. You could have a slight bend in your knees. You could bear more weight in your toes to really open up those hamstrings. Ultimately, your belly will be flat on top of your thighs. On an inhale, hands to shins, come up to your halfway lift. Extend the spine forward, eye gaze straight down, and make sure you breathe length into the back of your neck. So you're not extending it and looking in any direction. You want it in line with your spine. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, separate your hands right by your feet, belly on top of thighs. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms up overhead, palms come together to touch. This is a half sun salutation. But here we go again, we'll really do Sun A this time. Exhale, forward fold, lead with the spine all the way down, making sure it's flat. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift. Spine is parallel to the floor. Exhale, plant your hands down, step into plank. So stack the shoulders over wrists. Heels right over toes here. I'm going to show you the modification. On an inhale, shift your shoulders past the wrist creases, come onto the tips of your toes. Go ahead, bring your knees down. Exhale, lower all the way down, bending the elbows close to the body until your belly reaches the mat. Untuck the toes. This is where you can go ahead and bring in baby cobra, or even upward facing dog, depending on how deep you want your heart opener and back bend to be. Mini back bend, if you will. So we'll work into baby cobra here. So little or no weight in your hands. Placing your thumbs in line with your chest, around the middle of your chest. Glutes squeeze together, legs are still activated, but we're only lifting our chest here. So use your back muscles. On an inhale, little or no weight in the hands, open your heart space to the front of the room. So that if I lift my hands, I'm still lifted. Exhale, bring your forehead down to the mat. We'll come into full cobra. This time extending the arms, keeping your shoulders down and away from the ears. If you see them coming up, try walking your hands away from you to really breathe length. We never want our shoulders by our ears unless we're really stretching. With our arms over our head. Exhale, bend the elbows, forehead down on your mat. Now you can stay in baby cobra here for our last heart opener on our mats, or you can come to full cobra, which we just did, or upward facing dog, which is the deepest back bend. So if you feel warmed up enough for this, go for it. But really listen to your body. I just want to invite it into practice. So in this case, you bring your hands right by your hip flexors. You open your heart space to the front of the room, press into your hands, lifting the hips up this time. So that's the only difference between upward facing dog and cobra is the lifted hips. Making sure your legs are still activated, shoulders are still down away from the ears. Lowering down, bringing your forehead down to the mat. Tucking the toes, pressing into your hands, lifting up into your downward facing dog. So we just did Sun A here, and that was with modification. This time we'll do advanced. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhale, step or hop to the front of your mat, in between your hands. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms up overhead. Look at your fingertips. Exhale, forward fold. Lead with a flat spine all the way down. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands down, step into plank. Making sure that you stack those shoulders over those wrists. Heels right over the toes. Inhale, come onto the tips of your toes, shift forward. Shoulders come past the wrist creases. Exhale, coming down only halfway, bending at the elbows, close to the body. Untuck the toes, press into your hands. Upward facing dog, opening up your heart space. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. So you take these sequences as much as you want. These come in between certain poses. So if you want to skip the sun A and just meet us in downward facing dog, please do. Always listen to your body. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Flex the right toes towards your face. On an exhale, plant your foot in between your hands. Rise, crescent lunge. This time, keeping your right knee bent over your right ankle. Left heel over your left toes. Reach that right hip back, left hip point forward. You'll see a shift in the way your hips are once you do that. Then you can go ahead and reach the arms up overhead in your crescent lunge. If you want, you could even place your hands on your hips and take a look. Keeping a neutral pelvis here. So avoid any banana backing from occurring. And in order to do that, you bend the knee, bring the tailbone down, and then work to straighten the leg. Your leg may not go as straight, it may still have a slight bend in there, but as long as your pelvis is neutral in one straight line. Arms are overhead. On an exhale, pivot the back foot and just open up to the left side of the room for warrior two. Making sure your right ankle intersects the left arch. Keep that left hip point down. So you shouldn't be lunging to the right. You should be keeping it down. Shoulders are stacked over hips. Arms are really spreading out wide and bringing your chin in line with your right shoulder, looking at your fingertips. Warrior two. Flip the thumb palm. Inhale the right arm up and over, peaceful warrior. Feeling the stretch through the right and left side body. I see a lot of people always just bend it back. We don't ever want that. Hip point forward, reaching up through the fingertips, even if it's just a slight little curve back. Making sure you sit the hips down. We tend to lift that hip when we reach up and back. Cartwheel the hands down, frame the right foot, and move through your flow. Stepping back into plank, shifting forward, coming all the way down or halfway, depending if you want to modify for your chaturanga. Untuck the toes, open the heart space for baby cobra, cobra, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Like I said, if you go through your sun A sequences and I'm going a little too fast, take your time. Inhale, lift the left leg up, flex the toes towards the face. Exhale, plant your foot in between your hands. Left knee over left ankle, crescent lunge. Stay lifted on the back heel, left hip point back, right hip point forward. Keep those hips in one line in the front of the room. Belly up and in. Lengthen through your crown. Bear weight evenly with your left and right foot. Heel open warrior two. All you have to do is pivot the back leg, the back foot, and open your hips to the right this time. So I'm going to face towards you. Making sure that right hip point is down. I have to tell you the opposite because you're on the other side, but I'll do my best. So making sure that you stack those shoulders over hips, energetically draw those heels together so that you're activating the inner leg line. Spreading those fingers and reaching those arms away from the body are activating the arm muscles. You can make this super easy, but if you really ground through the feet, feel it in your abs, stretching those arms, working through the back, the shoulders, you're gonna feel a workout in itself. And then bringing your chin to the right shoulder, looking at your fingertips. Flip the front palm, reach the right arm up and back, peaceful warrior. Really reaching through the right side body. Oh, excuse me. The left side body this time, because you guys are on this side. So really stretching through the left side and right side body. Because remember, we want equal lengths in our torso. Reaching that left arm all the way up and back. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands down to frame the left foot. Step back into plank and move through your flow. I'll show you modified. Inhale, shift your shoulders past the wrist creases, lower the knees. Coming down all the way onto your belly. Inhale, baby cobra or cobra. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back on an exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up. On an exhale, bring your right knee behind your right wrist, half pigeon. It's time to just slow ourselves down a little bit. Feeling the stretch. Feeling the opening on the right hip flexor, the right inner thigh, even the left hip flexor. The more you reach that left hip back, or the left leg back, it'll pull on that left hip flexor and you'll feel the stretch. You can stay lifted, or if you want, you can come onto your forearms. And like I said, in many of my videos, you don't need your shin parallel to the mat. You'll see a lot of yogis. I can't even do it, right? But that's not necessary to reap all the benefits for half pigeon. As long as you feel some pull or tension in that right hip flexor, you're getting it at all the benefits, and you're working towards more strength, more mobility, and more flexibility. So take this time to slow down, lengthen your breaths. Enjoying the silence. It's okay to sit in silence. Learning to sit with silence actually makes us stronger, depending on who we are, you know? And then place your hands down. And you could come back into tabletop or downward facing dog. You could wiggle out that right leg. And switch legs. So if you like coming from downward facing dog, just lift the left leg up. Place the left knee behind the left wrist. Swivel out that left foot behind the right wrist, right hip. Extend the right leg out behind us. Working through now the left leg, left hip flexor, also the right. You can come onto your forearms, or you can come down all the way depending on your flexibility. But that brings me to a good point. So if you have a lot of flexibility, I know when I first started yoga, I was a dancer, so when I was in all these poses, I thought you're supposed to be flexible. I didn't know anything about yoga. I just heard it had such great benefits. This was back, I want to say like 10 years ago or so. And then I realized, after hearing my yoga teacher's cues, I was just letting myself dump into places where I wasn't actually using my muscle, which is actually dangerous. So if someone has too much flexibility, it's not necessarily a good thing when you're doing yoga. You want to bring in some strength as well, activating those muscles. So that's why it's more important to find grounding and strength than depth, and listening to your body. And then you could bring your hands back onto the mat. If you want to come to tabletop, wiggle out the leg, or if you want to come into downward facing dog, either way. Coming onto your sit bones, extending your legs out in front of you, flex the toes towards the base, sitting up tall, reaching your arms parallel to the floor, spreading your fingers out wide. Start to lean back, round the spine. As you do so, work through the abdominal muscles. As you stack your vertebrae on top of each other. Then once you breathe, release your head down. Bring your arms up over your head for a full body stretch, stretching through the tips of your fingers, tips of the toes. So this is where your arms are by your ears. You can practice bringing the shoulders down, but you want to feel the stretch. Exhale, bring your knees into your chest, rock side to side. And come into a last pose of choice. So if you want to come into an inversion where you bring your hips higher than your heart, you could come into bridge pose, which we've done many times, or you can watch our other videos and return to this one. Or if you want, you could even come into a shoulder stand, which you would start with maybe legs up against the imaginary wall, but hold your legs in this fashion. So you bring your elbows down by your body, lift your hips up, and reach your toes towards the ceiling, or you can flex them. So this is working towards plow pose. This is a shoulder stand. And then as time goes on, go reach your feet overhead. But you want to make sure that you stack your hips over your shoulders. Now, this is very, very advanced, so I don't recommend that. But this is some things you work up to. It's fun and beneficial. So, wherever you are, if your legs up against the imaginary wall, or if you're in a bridge, take 3 more breaths on your own. Come into happy baby. Separate your knees out wide, grabbing on the inner or the outers of your feet. Or if you can't even reach your feet, just grab onto your shins. Not a big deal. Keeping your tailbone down on the mat. By pressing your feet into your hands or hands into your feet or whatever, your shins, that compression will unravel the spine all the way down. Just like a red carpet. You rock side to side, work through the spine, or if you want to work through the hamstring, straightening one leg or straightening both legs. Releasing your legs all the way down for your last pose of class, which is corpse pose, also known as Shavasana. Some people call it Savasana. Bring your hands all the way up towards the ceiling for receiving those positive energies. Palms facing down for more grounding. Taking as much or as little space as you need. Gently closing your eyes. Breathing in space between the corners of your eyes, your forehead. Finding full relaxation. Releasing any tics. Maybe you're tapping your fingers, grinding your teeth. Release the jaw. Let the tongue float in the mouth by you parting the mouth. Letting your arms and body, from your torso to your legs, get real heavy. Longer and deeper breaths. Take this time to remember those dedications and intentions that we made for our practice. And wherever you are in your breath, release all that carbon dioxide and take an exhale. Excuse me. And now take the deepest inhale of the day in through your nose. Really filling up your chest, cleansing breath here. Until you can't take any more sips when you get to the top. Wide open mouth, exhale it out. Take this next couple minutes or so before I lead you out of practice to enjoy your Shavasana, to release your mind, body, and spirit, to find full surrender.
and back into the body. Wiggle toes, wiggle fingers. Rock your head side to side. On an inhale, reach your arms up over your head for a full body stretch, stretching through the tips of your fingers, the tips of your toes. On an exhale, hug your knees tight into your chest, come into a tight little ball. Rocking over to one side, giving yourself this nice tight hug so you feel the earth beneath you. And then coming up to a comfortable seat, sitting up tall. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Palms come together to touch at your heart space. And bow in. Just taking this short moment with me to really give appreciation and support to all the dedications and intentions we made for our practice today. I really appreciate all who has been watching and dedicating their mind, body, and spirit to be in the present moment and focus on the things that truly matter in life. And I hope that you all have a beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me for yoga today. Don't forget to check out all our other videos, our cooking videos, our national days of our month videos. So go ahead, check them out, and I will see you next week.